Hey, this is Manny Moonraker, and this is episode 166 of the UFO Report. And I went back, you guys, I tell you all the time, I've got technical problems. Everything technical seems to screw up for me, and it's just a matter of time. It just happens. It just happens. So yesterday I recorded episode 165, and by the way, before we talk about that, why is it no one asked any questions about Paul Snyder admitting that he murdered 2 people at the Dulce base? No one picked up on that. I thought for sure someone's going to send me a message through social media or DM me and say, hey, are you telling me that Paul Snyder admitted to murdering 2 people over in New Mexico at the alleged base Dulce, and then admitted to it, and then later on died of apparent strangulation with 1.5 hands? I was laughing about that yesterday. But what wasn't funny to me was that after I did that episode of 165, I went back and I listened to it. That's how I felt. While I was recording, there was a little message that scrolled on the top. It flashed. It was like, gone today, gone. 1 second, there, gone. I didn't realize what the message said, but apparently the software decided to restart the podcast, and it started it like 5 minutes after it already had started, kind of. So if you were listening live, you heard the first 5 minutes. Everyone else heard nothing. Basically, I was bitching about the goddamn alarm that was going off in the background that had been running for like 10 hours, it must have been. You guys heard it. It's like a low whistling sound, which is nothing compared to what I was listening to. Let me tell you, that fucking thing was driving me bananas. And even when I left the area at about 4 p.m., that fucking thing was still going off. How annoying. How can anybody get any work done in this damn place? Anyway, like I said, this is episode 166, and I have a fascinating story to talk about out of New Zealand. But before we get there, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere else you can find UFO Buster Radio. Every single mobile app that comes your way. And the people in New Zealand, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to butcher the name of the city. Because I have to. Because I'm a professional podcaster. Actually, that was another question I had. Is it after 3 years, can you call yourself a professional podcaster? I don't know if I'm a professional everything. No fucks given. I have no idea. But I guess so. I guess I can call myself a professional podcaster. I really can't call myself a ufologist because I don't give a damn. And I don't feel like fucking being called a ufologist because I'm not. Hell, I barely researched the thing according to YouTube. I just read Twitter posts. But anyway, let's get to the news. So like I said, this thing is coming out of New Zealand, and there's 2 articles here. Now, the reason why I got 2 articles is because one article, the first article is in the description, that actually is something that came out in the last few hours, right before doing this podcast, right? So that's the current one. But then I said, folks really got to be able to read about why this article is relevant. So I put in there exactly another article that explains kind of the history of why this airplane is important. The title for today's article is, okay, I'm going to butcher it. Hold on to your ears. Kaikoura, lights, and that's fascinating, and that's great. And there's a picture of this reenactment. If you look at the episode image, that is the inside of the plane with the people that attended it. And one of those, the young lady in the photo, is actually the reporter that wrote this article. Her article is linked in the description. She has more details in there about what happened and how they conducted the reenactment of this incident in 1978. Sorry, I'm still dealing with the shit from the winter that's in my nose. But anyway, that's an exciting thing, right? How often do you come across basically a UFO incident, historical legacy incident, as I like to call them, and you have an actual artifact that you go and you buy and purchase, and you have a link basically to history, UFO history. I mean, that is, in and of itself, it's amazing. Totally amazing. And I just saw another flash here, and hopefully this does not mean that the podcast has restarted again. Oh, fuck my life. This is not happening. So let's talk about the second link. The second link is about the Kaikoura UFO mystery, and there's a link in here to MSN News. So basically what happened back in 1978 in December, there was 3 bright lights that came close to an airplane, the airplane that was recently part of the reenactment in the first article. And it turns out that these lights were not a figment of anybody's imagination, because they were actually caught by air traffic controllers John Cordy and Andy Hurd. On top of that, aboard this plane that was rescued, there was an Australian film crew who actually captured footage of them. If you want to see some of that footage or the images, you can actually go into this article and see those images and footage of this particular incident. And it's funny because there was a journalist on the plane, Quentin Fogarty. Quentin says he was so transfixed by the mysterious lights, and he says some of them were the size of a house. So these are not small objects, and they were big enough to be caught by air traffic controllers. So this is no fucks given. This is not a mysterious thing. It's a UFO for real. But there's no one here that was able to identify these as any other kind of craft. There is a quote from Fogarty on this particular article, and it says, "We saw this string of lights. It started as a small pinpoint of light, then grew into a large pulsating globe with tinges of orange and red," he said. That is amazing. Now, what really is going to kick people in the nuggets here is that the Muldoon government said that it was probably squid boats. It doesn't end there. It says the moonlight bouncing off of cabbages. Okay? Or the last reason was the Venus rising caused these 3 house-sized UFOs to appear like they were tracking this aircraft and confuse the living fuck out of everybody, even air traffic controllers. I mean, you can't write this stuff, folks. I mean, fuck the swamp gas. Well, I guess if you have cabbage in the area, you could say swamp gas. Yeah, because it does give you the farts. But, I mean, the Muldoon government said, fuck you guys. Fuck you. And it's weird because some of the reports say that it was a clear-ass sky. There wasn't a bunch of clouds. It wasn't cloudy at all. Nice and clear when these lights came into effect and these UFOs came in and started tracking this plane. And they may not. I mean, they probably were at the wrong place at the wrong time, because that's the way it always fucking goes. But still, they've got video, they've got film. They actually were completely amazed at what they were seeing. And these were not small things. To describe a UFO as big as a house, to have air traffic controllers actually confirm that you're seeing shit that's really there, that's not an aircraft you've seen before, fuck, that is serious business. But on the back end, to be someone who recognizes the value of that type of artifact to continue to tell the story, that's amazing. You really got to take your hat off to this individual for, going in and grabbing this piece of history. I mean, Paul Davidson, shit, he's the man right there. Paul Davidson caught himself. I mean, that would be like fucking coming across a auction and getting the damn pickup truck that Travis Walton jumped out of in order to go get zapped by the aliens and taken away for 5 days. I mean, if you're into UFOs in history, that's a find. That's amazing. I mean, we could go on and on about other shit that people could possibly find from these legacy UFO incidents. But it's a great story. Check out the links that are in the description, because there is a lot of information on the second link regarding the basically the history of that sighting and everything that happened in New Zealand around that time, because that wasn't the only sighting of UFOs. There were other ones during that time, so it became like a hotbed of UFOs. And it seems that these things happen periodically and in waves. But whatever it is, hats off to you, buddy. That's a good find. Like I said before, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Share this podcast with your peoples. Share it everywhere. Because I'm about to scream out this bitch. Because I can't seem to get people to listen. What the hell's going on? Is it my cursing? Am I cursing too much? I could just imagine people sitting during Christmas in their cars, driving to your grandma's house, and some guy named Manny Moonraker comes up on Spotify in the car and drops the F-bomb a few times. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And a fucking Happy New Year. And that's coming next week. So everybody, get your brown liquor out. It's going to get crazy. Again, I thank you for listening. Hopefully that little flash did not cut off part of the podcast, but it's very possible. We'll see what the fuck happens this time. Ciao.